What's happening? This is the Blue Review. Okay, let's check out what people have to say. We're going to get into the pen. We're going to get into Julio Urias. We're going to get into Cody Bellinger. But I want to read what you guys have to say. 84-44, and we're talking about Max Muncy hitting a blast in the bottom of the 10th. Let's go. And that's, it's so exhilarating going from just so much anger towards Kenley Jansen to being so excited about Max Muncy. God, and it ended. The game's over. 84-44 now for your Dodgers, which is a very, very good thing for me. And also, look at this. I'm wearing that Funky Muncy shirt today. It just happened to be wearing that Funky Muncy shirt today. And that's brought to you by Bleed Los. Bleed Los makes these shirts. If you need a shirt, go to Bleed Los. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Twitter. And they have all these great shirts. And they make this hat, too. Los Angeles versus the World. Really, really cool hat. Really great stuff. And it just happened to work out that way. That I got this Funky Muncy shirt on today. I love it. Makes me so happy. I am Greg Bergman, at Bergman Greg on Twitter and on Instagram, at Bergman Greg, basically everywhere for me. And I have been gone for a little while. This is the Blue Review, and I get to talk about the Dodgers with you guys all the time, which makes me really, really happy. So this is all about you guys. It's about coming on here and talking about the Dodgers and what's going on. And I know the first thing you guys want to talk about is Kenley Jansen. But let's be happy for a moment, all right? Let's just be happy about Max Muncy hitting another home run and now we have the 11th walk-off of the year for the Dodgers, and which is the most in Major League Baseball right now. And it just comes at the exact opportune time. Great to see that. Very, very happy about that. I will get into all of the Kenley Jansen stuff. I know you want to talk about Kenley Jansen, and we'll get into all that, but I want to read some of the things that are going on here that you guys are talking about. Katie Telez is saying, I apologize on behalf of the guy that shares my last name for going into extra innings, but hey, another walk-off. Hey, that works. You know what? We'll take it that way. That's totally fine. Walk up, whatever happens. I got Dodger Rebel saying that Funky Muncy, which I love, which is also going to be his name for Players Weekend against the Yankees coming up this weekend, which the Yankees lost. And that's a very important thing to know, that the Yankees lost. That is 3 in a row, and Aaron Judge is being just a terrible batter right now. He's like 9 of the last 54 or some crazy number like that. But that helps the Dodgers moving forward. Now the Dodgers are going to they need that home field advantage. And on the broadcast today, Joe Davis and Oral Hershiser were talking about how the Dodgers at home are so much better than every other team. Since 1950, they have the second best overall run differential at home in all of Major League Baseball. I mean, since 1950, the second best. I believe it was 4.2 runs per game, which is a lot. It's a huge number for that. So much that helps. So every time the Yankees lose and the Dodgers win, it actually does make a difference now. Same with Houston Astros. Astros have lost a bunch, and Carlos Carrasco just went, Carlos Correa, they all went. The guys, their shortstop just went down. Carrasco, I'm blanking on his name, whatever. But with the Astros starting to lose some games, the Yankees starting to lose some games, if the Dodgers get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, that's a huge deal for them, and it's very much important. I got Zed James saying, Berg, man, raw. It's no longer raw. There is no more raw anymore. Love Mad Max from Gio Namo. Matt Musoni 24. I'm happy. I know we can win. Not knowing if Kenley can close worries me, and we'll get to that. We will. I promise you. Al Zakusis. What about Will Smith? Will Smith is the man. I love Will Smith. This dude has just hitting bomb after bomb. Correa. Thank you, Carlos Correa. Brian Park 8. I appreciate that. Yes, but it's Will Smith has been fantastic. I think he's now had somewhere around like 87 at bats on the year, and he has 12 home runs. He alone is going to win me 10,000 mythical dollars from John Ireland on the Mason Ireland Show. So I'm very happy because I have a bet. I bet at the very beginning of the year's 10,000 mythical dollars that the Dodgers catchers will get 25 home runs. Now, I believe that had more to do with Austin Barnes than it did with Will Smith coming up and hitting 12 home runs still in August. But whatever happens, happens. I still made the bet. 25 home runs. I'm at 21 right now for the catchers. So Will Smith is doing it all for me, all by himself, basically. Which is really cool. All right. This is all I'm going to get the whole time. So Will Zale is saying, is Kenley still the guy in the playoffs? All right. I can't say yes anymore. I came into this, just before I get into this, I guess I'm going to say, is this the closet from Nate Dogg? No, it is not. I am in the studio. I am in the ESPN LA studio. You're watching me on the ESPN LA Periscope. You're watching me on my very own Instagram, which is at Bergman Greg. But you can watch all this stuff and we can talk about all that. But right now, I know what the number one topic is, and we're going to go right to it because it's important. Kenley Jansen, is he the same guy? And I know, you guys, if you've watched me on these post games before, you've all said the same thing. You all were killing me on Twitter, saying, you're just going to talk about how great he is, and he's the best thing ever, and you're just going to find excuses for him. I don't have excuses for this guy anymore. I do not have excuses for Kenley Jansen anymore. And hopefully, at some point, he's going to turn around and make all of us just look silly and stupid. And maybe this is what he needed, because he was being booed as he was leaving the field today after giving up that home run to Tellez and tying the game up in the top of the ninth. It was working out perfectly, exactly how you want it, exactly how the Dodgers want every game essentially to go, and most bullpens want to go. You got 7 strong shutout innings from Walker Buehler. Joe Kelly came in, had a strong 8th inning, ran right through, and then in the 9th inning, he gives up a home run to tie the game. And that's, you have it set up. 7 innings from your starter, an 8th inning guy to a 9th inning closer. And that's how you want baseball to go. Kenley Jansen is not looking like the closer that we need anymore. And as much as we want to talk about it and much we want to hate it, he is not the guy, and he hasn't been really this entire year. I've been protecting him and saying as much as I possibly can about how he'll figure it out. The velocity's starting to come back. The cutter is starting to cut again. It's just not. I don't even think he threw a slider in that entire situation, that entire at bat against Tellez. It was cutter after cutter after cutter, and they're just sitting dead eye waiting for it. And he's giving up home runs. And now he's given up home runs. And if you look at his over the last couple months, I mean, he's giving up runs. His last 2 save opportunities, he's blown. He blew it tonight, and he blew it August 9th against Arizona. It's just not the same guy we're used to seeing. You're used to seeing this guy coming onto the field and to Californication, or not to Californication, to California. And God, this has been a very long time. I'm going to let you know. I've been gone for a little bit of time, and I'm just blanking on everything right now. But you ready for him to come out and just go and be studying, and people going scared of him and being ready for him to just blow them away and just keep him off balance, throwing sliders, throwing the cutter, and just keeping guys off balance. And he's just not that guy anymore. And so I would not be surprised if he goes on the IL because they think something's wrong with him. If they've already talked about moving him out of the closing situations. And he was going to be so he can use him other more intense situations down the stretch and get him out of that mindset. He's not even in that mindset right now, and that's a problem. So it's very, very difficult to see Kenley Jansen be this way right now. And it's as much as I hate it, I love the guy. And I really think that as this team goes, so does he. Or as he goes, so does the team. And I think this is a really bad spot for him. Now, there are guys that can step into this situation. And what we've seen from Joe Kelly now has been just dominant, really, for over the last couple of weeks and over the last month or two, by the way, to be honest. Joe Kelly can hopefully step into that role. Or it's once you get into the playoffs, other guys are going to be stepping into that role. You're going to find it's going to be a starter that is going to be there. They're going to use everything that they have because they have the depth to do it. It's a little bit tough. California Love, thank you. God, what is wrong with me? Thank you. Dieter VB, deep breath. I know, I'm excited. It's been like 2 months since I've done one of these. I feel like it's been forever. But however it's been, I'm just happy to be back. So yes, deep breath, slow down, all that stuff. And this California love, everybody killing me. California love, California love. You know what? Sometimes just think about it. Your brain just shuts down sometimes. This was one of those times. Real Realtor Rob, if a fan base is saying, oh no, when their closer comes in, that's a sign. Yes, I mean, that's kind of how it comes. Maybe he should come out to Californication. So, you know what? Whatever's going to work for him. All right. Hey, Robert01 says they changed to use him once per series. Yes, that is something that they just went to, and it didn't matter if it was going to be a closing situation or if it was going to be a non-closing situation. It really just depended on what they really needed him in, because Dave Roberts wanted to see what Kenley Jansen was going to look like in a situation that was not a closing role. Get him out of that mindset of I need to be in when it is a closing role. And unfortunately, even in that role, it's not working. And when that's not working, that's a problem. And you know what? Oh, I forgot to put this little ESPN LA thing up there. So let's just get that up there so everybody knows I am on ESPN LA. Let's see. Vic Pal 25. This was a potential playoff scenario. Dave Roberts needs to start looking into Joe Kelly or Urias. Now, Urias is out for the next 14, 13 games, something along those lines. Actually, since last Saturday. So we're looking at around 12, 11 games more than he has, because the Dodgers gave him extra, or the Major League Baseball gave him more time after his domestic violence issue, which we don't even know what's happening with that. There was no video. There was no charges filed. It's just a very weird situation, and I'm not a big fan of. I don't know how to feel about it just yet. Over on YouTube, Kobe Sai says, were you at the game last night? I noticed that the Lakers-Dodgers jersey in the background. You know what? I wish I was at the game. I was not. I was at home watching the game, though, because I do watch every single game. Aaron Lizer says, Sausage Jeans is the man. What's up, man? I hate to see it, but it's true. Yep, and I got, let's see, I'm trying to read other things here. Jermaine Armenta, what's up, Bergman? Long time no see. Muncy has saved us from Kenley's meltdown. I say the new closer for the team should be Joe Kelly. He has been pitching lights out in the second half of the season. And yes, Joe Kelly has been pitching fantastically. So right now, I kind of hope that he is that guy, but you're going to start seeing other guys getting chances at that roles. Pedro Baez is going to get a chance at that role. It could be a guy like Casey Sadler, depending on what the situation is, because he's going up and down, left and right, and all over the place. But it could be Julio Urias when he comes back. It could be a starter. It could be somebody like Rich Hill coming in and being that guy when it comes to the playoffs when he comes back. Maybe it's, I don't really trust Maeda or Stripling in those situations, but it's going to be somebody, and they're going to they're going to try out different scenarios, and they're going to see who fits into that. And I think Joe Kelly is going to get that first one. I really, really do. Taylor Spencer, 4414. Are you happy LA didn't trade Lux for Vasquez? Now, that's a great question, because yes, I am happy. Look, I know that it wasn't just Lux. So we need to understand this. Gavin Lux, who, by the way, is just destroying AAA and on every facet of what he's doing. He's batting over 400. He's got like a 1,500 OPS. The dude is just on fire. So Gavin Lux is going to be eventually the second baseman of the future. Right now, he's not really playing. He's playing between shortstop and second base. Hasn't played a ton of it yet, so he's not there. But the Pirates didn't just want Gavin Lux. They also wanted one of Dustin May, or Keibert Ruiz, or Will Smith, or somebody else in those situations. They wanted two, at least, at the very, very minimum. They wanted two guys, not just Gavin Lux. So hopefully, I mean, I'm not okay with it. We've already seen what Dustin May can do, and so I'm fine. I want to keep Dustin May here. I saw he got beat up the other night as in the bullpen, but he's been great coming as a starter, and they're going to use him back and forth between a starter and a bullpen. And when he gets into the bullpen, he's eventually, I hope he's going to be somebody that's going to be really, really good. Same with Tony Gonsolin. There's another guy that could be just a killer. So we don't know, and a lot of these players haven't even seen them enough yet. I like where the Dodgers are at. I like that they can score at will. I like that they come from behind and win games. I like that they have 11 walk-off wins. I like that they do the things that they do to win games. You never think that they're out, and that's a really important thing for this Dodgers team. Ray L. Barbone, world order has been restored. Welcome back, Craig. A. Boogie was at the game last night, right behind A.D. Palinka Lasorda, too. Oh, very cool. Let's see. Al's Acoustic, Urias as set up when he gets back and Kelly closes. Possibly. Something's got to... Kenley Jansen has to figure it out. And what you did... right now, I know you have... you're this late into the season. You're on, what is it, August 21st? So there's not a ton of time, but you have to do the same thing that they kind of did with Joe Kelly earlier in the year. Nobody trusted Joe Kelly, so they put him into situations where he was able to succeed, when there was these big long, when there was, when they had a 6-run lead, or they were down by 10, or they were down by 4, or whatever the situation was, and just try and get clean innings. When that's happened, and if you actually look at his game log over the last couple of games, before this game, he came in non-save situations. He came into 3 non-save situations, and in that time, he only gave up 2 hits in 3 innings, and he had 3 strikeouts too. He just was good in the non-save situations, so maybe that is the right situation for him now. Take him out of that and let him be in an area where it's not about whether or not he gets the save. It's about getting where he needs to be, just getting those clean innings. So hopefully, Kenley Jansen is now going to be in that spot. No, really, come on. Or Kenley needs a sports shrink. Yeah, you know what? It happens in baseball. The baseball yips are a real thing. CJ 3600, that wasn't a bad pitch. It doesn't matter if it was a bad pitch or not. Guys are not afraid. They feel like they can hit him. Let's look at a difference here. So a lot of people said that Clayton Kershaw was done. He was over. This season was over. Steve Mason was one of them. I'm canceling Kershaw Day. It's over. No more Kershaw Day. And because he can't pitch anymore. I don't know if he's even going to make 20 starts this year. He's already made 22 starts. He's got 13 wins on the year, and I think he's 3rd in the National League in wins. He's below a 3 ERA. He's got just about a 1 whip. The guy has been fantastic, or right around a 3 ERA. He has been really, really good. And that's because he's getting swing and miss pitches, and he's doing because guys are off balance and they don't know what is coming, and they have to adjust based on what he's doing. That's not the case with Kenley Jansen. They know the cutter is coming. They know where it's going. They know how to hit it, and they feel like they can hit it. And that's a huge deal. For guys to be able to think that they have the ability to hit him and have that confidence is a big deal. That's why you're seeing guys like Clayton Kershaw go so deep, going at least 6 innings for every single start this year, because he is keeping guys off balance. He'll give up a home run here and there. He'll give up some runs. I know he gave up 3 solo home runs yesterday, but he still has been really, really good. And he knew that he wasn't that great last night, and he still got a huge win. Gene is, I miss Freeze, get Jerko out of here. Well, I mean, Jerko is just a filler guy right now. Jerko is not going to be there. I don't really see much from him. Gene also says Gonsolin has been solid too. I've loved what I've seen from Gonsolin, and if you want me to be honest, I'm not here. Full disclosure, I was not here for 10 days and I missed a ton, so I didn't see what Gonsolin did. I feel like he started on a Sunday. Dustin May has gone back and forth, but from what I've saw, when I've been watching, I've liked what I saw from Gonsolin more than I have from May. I do like May a lot, and I like both of those guys, but I think Gonsolin has a better chance of being a dominant player out of the bullpen in the postseason and going forward. And yes, as East Area saying, Sadler, yeah, Casey Sadler could be one of those guys too, but he is somebody that is he's being shipped back and forth between OKC, really not really leaving, because he was sent down yesterday and right back up today. Lisa Tarrant says, can we just say Muncy? I was talking about Muncy at the very, very beginning. Look at this. I'm wearing that funky Muncy t-shirt today. How lucky was that? And when he came up, I said, all right, Muncy, let's go. Let's end this right here. I got an hour to do a post game, and then I get to go home. So come on, end it. Let's go. And he did. And so, you know what? Max Muncy has been fantastic, and I believe that is his 33rd home run. He's somewhere right around there. What is this on the year? 33rd home run on the year, and it's just been, he's got a chance to be a 40 guy, a 40 home run guy, to have 2 40 home run guys on the Dodgers at the same time. That hasn't happened since like the 50s, so that's a great thing. Pete Mesa 16, Machine Gun Kelly needs to be closer. I think that's where they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to go. I think it might be a closer by committee type situation where they're going to go with guys that just have who is the best situation, who they feel is the best to succeed. And I think Kelly right now is that guy. Let's see. Santi Sanchez Vela says, when Gavin Lux going to be called? So Gavin Lux will probably be called up in September. I don't know what that role is going to be for him. Will he be called up just to be a part of the 40-man roster, or will he be just called up to just kind of hang out around the club and just practice and do all those kinds of things? I don't know if they're going to give him time. I don't know if he's played enough at second base. And have you seen what Chris Taylor has been like? Chris Taylor coming off the DL or the IL. I do it every time. Every time. Chris Taylor coming off the IL has been really, really good offensively and defensively. And he can play a very good second base too. And he can kind of play all over the field. So you might see him there. And Max Muncy has been very, very good at second base. His defensive abilities at second base, by the eye test, whether or not you want to look at all those advanced defensive metrics or whatever they are, he has looked great at second base, so I've been very, very fine with him. Elvik, it is not the DL. I got it wrong. West Coast Yinzer 2.0 says, starting pitchers for the postseason. All right, starting pitchers for the postseason. Now, I've been seeing a lot of different things, and where the top three are there no matter what. It's Ryu, Buehler, and Kershaw. Those three, whichever order we kind of want to go with it, they all are going to be there. But the fourth guy, and they're already saying that he is right now, Rich Hill. And Rich Hill has to be. When he comes off the IL and he starts pitching again, you're going to see maybe he might have some ups and downs, but in the postseason, Rich Hill has been fantastic. He has been the best pitcher in the World Series, bar none, the last 2 years. Rich Hill gets that fourth spot. He deserves it, and he should get it. So Dustin May, I'm sorry, you're too young. Tony Gonsolin, I'm sorry, you're too young. I don't want to see Maeda or Stripling starting, and Stripling is coming back as strictly as a reliever. So that's what's going to happen there. Dodgers 35-22-10 says, do you like Dustin May to the bullpen? Dustin May? Yeah, I do like Dustin May in the bullpen, and I think that while he did give up that grand slam the other night, he still, I think, is going to be valuable coming out of the pen, along with Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin hybrid Zappa Raleigh fingers. Yeah, so there you go from Pete Mesa. Let's see. Sheffield and Green did it in the early 2000s, 240 home run hitters. I don't believe that was in the same season, though, was it? I know they both did it, but was it in the same season? That's a more important thing. You could be right. Sheffield definitely was a big hitter, and John Green had 49 one year, so very well could be. And that's look at Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger is on pace to hit that 50 home runs, which is pretty great for him. Biggest threat to the Dodgers, Mikey 1419. I would have said the Houston Astros, but losing Correa is gonna hurt them a lot. I still think they're a good team, and I think they're gonna beat the Yankees, and them are gonna beat each other up. So the Yankees, I still think, are a really good team. I don't really trust their starting pitching very much, so that I think could really be a problem for them in the postseason, where they may not get out of the second round, out of the ALCS because of that. But I think the Yankees are probably the best team in the American League, so that would probably be your biggest threat. But I just think this Dodgers team is so much different than the Dodgers teams from the last couple of years. And I know a lot of guys say it, and you hear it all the time, but the Dodgers are just different this year. Last year, so 2 years ago, they were kind of early. They weren't ready to be in that stage. They were the best team in baseball. They were just rolling through people. Them and the Houston Astros were going head to head, and Houston just, whatever happened in the World Series happened, and Houston Astros won that World Series. The Dodgers come back the next year. They can't hit with runners in scoring position to save their lives, especially with 2 outs. It was awful. I think they were last in the Major League Baseball or last in the NL, something along those lines. And now this year, you're talking about a completely different team. They win in every single way. It's not just the massive amount of home runs that they're hitting, which is now 32 home runs in the last 9 games, which is out of control, the amount of home runs they're hitting. They do it in so many other ways. They get hits with guys on base, with runners in scoring position. They get doubles. They're hitting into gaps. They're hitting with 2 outs. They're hitting with 2 outs and 2 strike counts to get away. Just so we're clear, Rick Krajewski, I asked him about it this morning, and he told me all about it. Rick Krajewski sent me some stats saying that the Dodgers are now second in the National League behind the Pirates for 2 outs and 2 out hits with runners in scoring position. They are first in Major League Baseball with, I believe it's like a 207 batting average with 2 outs, 2 strikes, and runners in scoring position. They are leading the major leagues with that, and they have the best record in baseball, and they have the best pitching staff in baseball, and and their hitting is out of control. How many home runs they're hitting, and they just get hits. They're all professional hitters, and that's got to go. A lot of that goes to Robert von Skoyak. So That's a lot of huge things for them, and that's so Rick Krajewski, Rick_K21 gave me a great stat on that. So just remember, this team is different than last year. That was the big deal in the World Series last year, is that when guys were on base, second, third, runners in scoring position, doesn't matter how many outs, even with 2 outs, they could not get the big hit. And now they're getting those big hits with regularity, and they're getting and they're walking off on guys all the time. They'll come from behind. It doesn't matter. This team can just hit. Anthony Diaz Jr., 30. I think they should still keep Jansen in to rebuild his confidence for the postseason. Thoughts? Yes and no, but I think you need to put him into situations where they're non-save situations now. I think you need to put him in situations where he can succeed and just go in and breathe and start to find his velocity and find his cutter, because it's just not moving. And when that cutter doesn't move and it's only going 92 miles an hour, people are blasting it. Whether the pitch location is okay or not, if there's no movement on it, they're going to destroy that baseball. King Arthur 24. Our lefties are also hitting lefties, which we haven't seen the last couple of years. Very true stat. The only guy that's not hitting him is Jock Peterson, and that's why you don't see Jock Peterson in against lefties. We've talked about that 1,000 times. I retweet like crazy, says LOL the Pirates. Look, they're getting hit. If they get hits, if they're the best team in the National League with runners in scoring position, then they are. Their pitching is terrible, and their bullpen is just I mean, Vasquez is good, but they're just not figuring out, and they're not getting timely hits otherwise when they're just giving up too many runs. Too bad. Stoyak, pay that man, says Gene is. Yes, absolutely. And they have other guys. Someone will know it. What there's another guy there. So he's the hitting coach. There's also a hitting instructor and a hitting analyst. I forget their names all the time. Somebody help me out with the name for the hitting analyst, who is just as much a part of this as Robert Von Scoyak. Von Scoyak, MVP for my retweet like crazy. Steve got sold. Those 2-out RBIs are a major difference from the last 2 years. Exactly. And I think that's the biggest point that we need to get across here, is that they do get those hits with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, just shortening up their swing, just getting bat on ball and putting it in play. It happened last night. You saw Corey Seager hitting doubles with 2 strikes and 2 outs. I get it that it's the Blue Jays, but he's still getting those hits. And by the way, Corey Seager, watch out. Corey Seager is starting to hit. Justin Turner has been great over the last 20 games where he's batting over 400, something along those lines. AJ Pollock, as Esneri is saying, Pollock needs to remain as our leadoff hitter. He's better than Jock. It depends on the situation. If you're going up against the righty, Jock will always get that spot because he kills righties and hits home runs. But AJ Pollock has been good, and he's had 7 home runs in his last 9 games, I believe it is. It's just he's starting to get it. Brant Brown is Dodger hitting strategist. Thank you. I knew it. I knew somebody would be able to get that. I forget their name all the time. Brant Brown from Janice Day Off. She got it as well. So thank you guys. Dodger Rebel. Not feeling Jock. Would like to see Matt Beatty start in left field. Yes. Does Beatty make the postseason roster? I think it just depends. All right. So do you want to do this? Let's actually go into the stats here, and let's look at what all these guys are going to look like. Let's actually try and figure out who this is going to be. I need to get my actual, where is this here? All right, let's go here. Let's do it this way. We're going to go into Dodgers.com, and we're going to look at where is everybody? No, I want the Dodgers. Go back here. You're going to follow along with me while I do this, so just bear with me while my computer decides where it wants to go. Come on. There we go. We are at Dodgers.com, and we're going to look at the hitters. All right, so these are the guys. So really, you could hold 25 guys on the postseason roster. They usually hold 12 pitchers. So you're trying to think about, 13 guys. Now, the guys that are going to make the postseason roster that are very, very easy to figure out is going to be the easy ones. Like Chris Taylor will make it, so that's 1. Justin Turner will make it. Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, AJ Pollock, Will Smith, Jock Peterson. I'm skipping over Kike. You're going to have, let's see, move down there. Yeah. All right. So no, Kike will probably make that postseason roster. So you still have about 4 spaces, which would leave open a Beatty. Beatty could make the postseason roster that way. I don't think Jerko makes it. I feel like I'm missing people. Oh, Russell Martin's definitely on that list. Yeah, so those are the guys that you're probably going to see there, and I'm missing a couple, but we're pretty close there. It's easier to just do it this way. You're going to have Russell Martin and Will Smith behind the plate. You're going to have David Freese is going to make the postseason roster, and Max Muncy also playing first base. A little bit of Cody Bellinger also playing first base. You're going to have, let's see, Corey Seager will make it. Justin Turner will make it. AJ Pollock, Jock Peterson. Alex Verdugo probably makes that as well. So you're just gonna keep going over all of these guys. They're all gonna make this roster. So really, everybody, it's Matt Beatty is going to be right on the bubble. So as much as we want to see him, I haven't seen much from him recently. I mean, he started off really hot, and he hasn't seen as good recently. Let's see, Emilio Valdivia. Jansen should pitch in the 7th or 8th inning and experiment Joe Kelly as closer for the last month. Whether or not, yes, we've already talked about Jansen enough, but basically Jansen needs to be in lower leverage situations right now, and that if that's in the 7th or 8th inning, then that's in the 7th or 8th inning. He's also not going to pitch in the tomorrow against the Blue Jays, so maybe we see him on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday against the Yankees. Esco 1310, Jansen should be the setup man. We'll see about that. Anthony, my boy, Freese is going to make a strong comeback. I absolutely believe in David Freese, professional hitter, big time guy is always great in the postseason. Has been really good this year despite being injured. So just like Christopher Negron, who went on the IL for a stiff neck after like 5 days later. It was just crazy what they're doing. Let's see. I got B. Hana 55, probably late on this, but would want Walker Buehler to pitch at home in the playoffs given his splits this year. Okay, so yeah, this is what we were doing before, and this is all things that I had ready to go until Kenley Jansen ruined my entire situation. I had all this stuff ready to talk about, and Kenley Jansen just destroyed it like they always do. I was ready with all these different topics, and one of them was what it was going to look like for Walker Buehler in the postseason and what we're going to do with the postseason pitching staff. So let's talk about that for just a moment here. So when you get into the postseason, the 3 guys that are automatically there are going to be Clayton Kershaw, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Walker Buehler. They're there, 1, 2, 3, whatever it's going to be. Now, my argument here is, and I've been going back and forth on it, but I believe this is probably the best way to go because I think Clayton Kershaw is the better pitcher everywhere. So in a game 3, I think on the road, game 3, Clayton Kershaw makes the most sense. It's kind of like a whole nother game 1 for him, whether or not they want to do that. But I believe you go Hyun-Jin Ryu 1, Walker Buehler 2, Kershaw 3, and if you need him, Rich Hill 4. And Joseph HD said the exact same thing, so thank you on Instagram there. And why I think Walker Buehler is better at home, I mean, look, we just saw this against the Marlins. Against the Miami Marlins last week, Walker Buehler was bad. He walked a bunch of guys. He gave up around 4 runs. He wasn't the guy that we're used to seeing. But after a bad start, like Joe Davis always likes to say, he's great the next start. I think a lot of it has to do with home and away. And a guy like I know I'm bringing up a terrible name right now, but Alex Wood was this exact same weight a couple of years ago. And now this is kind of where Walker Buehler is. If you look at his splits, home and away, it's amazing what happens to him. At home this year for Walker Buehler, he's 5-0 with a 2.33 ERA. And he's got a strikeout to walk ratio of 13. 13 strikeouts to 1 walk. That's an insane number. Guys aren't even hitting 200 against him. The OPS at home against Walker Buehler, below 530, 525. Now, when you go to away and he goes on the road, it doesn't matter if he has to pitch on the road. He has to pitch on the road. But if you look at his stats, 5-3, 4.37 ERA. It jumps 2 full points home and away from 2.33 to 4.37 when he's on the road. Guys, his strikeout to walk ratio drops tremendously, 10 points to 3, just under 4, 3.79, and that OPS. The 525 OPS at home now jumps way up to 740. That's a huge difference. Home and away makes a big difference for Walker Buehler, so he needs to pitch at home. So from now on, I mean, he's going to pitch away and on the road, but when it gets to the postseason, if you can, you put Walker Buehler in that situation. And now I want to do the same exact thing with Hyun-Jin Ryu, and I believe it's the same type of situation. He just gave up 4 runs the other night. And which was weird for him because that's not normal for him. But if we look up his splits, just like we're doing right now, that was game logs. I wanted splits. My bad. If you look at him home and away, Hyun-Jin Ryu at home, who has been absolutely fantastic, by the way, which we've seen all year. This year at home, he's 9-0 with a .81 ERA, which is just silly to me. It's just such a weird, crazy number. Below 200 batting average, 189, that OPS of 477. You go on the road, the numbers change. From 9-0 at home to 3-3 on the road, that .81 ERA jumps up to 2.55. His strikeout to walk dropped to 650, which is around the same, but that 477 OPS at home jumps way up over 700 to 703. Those two guys need to stay at home if possible. Now, I know that the splits are going to be kind of the same for Clayton Kershaw, but he's been there, he's done that. He wants to be that number one starter. He can be a number one starter on the road as well. So if we can get Kershaw to do, if that's the situation that he needs to be in, then that's the situation that he needs to be in. And you trust him more on the road than you do these other two guys who are just 1,000 times better at home. So having Clayton Kershaw's numbers right in front of me now, he goes on at home 3-3 with a 2.58 ERA, away 6-2 with a 2.9. It doesn't change. Nothing changes there. If you look at it's pretty much the same. So his batting average 211 to 340 to 243. The OPS is 609 to 651. He's basically the same guy home and away. A little bit worse on the road, but still much better at home. So this is a guy that you're going to want to keep out. You're going to play him in that third spot. Totally changes everything. Joseph HD, do you think with one World Series win, Kershaw surpasses Koufax as best Dodger pitcher ever? I mean, you're going way far back. It's the amount of time. It was totally different back when Koufax was pitching. If I'm not mistaken, Koufax would go straight from the regular season straight to the World Series, or it was like the NLDS to the World Series. There wasn't a lot in between. He just kind of jumped forward. There's a lot. It wasn't a month of baseball, basically, so it does change it. I don't think that I don't think Kershaw surpasses it. He only would have one ring to compare to the couple that Sandy Koufax has. But Clayton Kershaw is the best regular season pitcher of all time. He just needs to figure it out in the postseason. And he's had some good outings, just not all the best ones. Anthony, my boy, Ryu, Kersh, Buehler, Hill, May. See, we got a little bit different here. I don't think May ever sees a starting spot in the postseason unless there's an injury. And even then, see what happens there. EJ Ravalos, Buehler should pitch at home in the playoffs rather than on the road, significantly better at home. We went through all of those numbers. Esco 1310, who's the fourth starter? Who of bullpen guys makes playoff roster? So the bullpen is going to change dramatically. I would have said Kenley Jansen absolutely, and I still think he does make that roster. But Kenley Jansen, Pedro Baez, let's see. Ross Stripling will make that roster. Kenta Maeda will make it. I think Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May make it. Joe Kelly's in there. I think Julio Urias is in there. And I'm already at 9 guys. So if you put that with 4 starters, so somebody in there is going to lose it, and then you're going to have to lose maybe Kolarek. I mean, it all changes. Say it, Greg. Kershaw Day. I never got rid of Kershaw Day, Joseph. I've always believed in Clayton Kershaw. I bet 10,000 mythical dollars and beat Steve Mason because I said he would have 21 starts or more. And he was the one saying at the beginning of the year that Clayton Kershaw was done. He wasn't even going to start that way because whatever's going on with his back was a problem. And I never believed it, and I'm much, much better than. Let's see. Emilio Valadivia says, you think they bring back Austin Barnes? It really depends on Russell Martin. If Russell Martin still just plays once a week, plays decently enough, I don't think they do bring back Austin Barnes. He was not hitting. He was hitting in AAA. I haven't been following him a lot recently, but at one point he hit like 5 or 6 home runs in 6 games. Like he was just blasting home runs in AAA. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think as long as Russell Martin is healthy, then he is going to be there. Who do you think the Dodgers will play in the NLDS and NLCS? Dodgers 35-22-10. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. It really just depends on who comes out of that wild card, because the Dodgers are going to play whoever comes out of the wild card. But I do think that they passed that, and I think it really just depends on who comes out of there. But I do think that they will play Atlanta in the NLCS this year, and Atlanta is going to be one of those teams. They made it to the NLDS last year when they were a year too early. Now they're really good, and you're going to see them in the NLCS. And the Dodgers I still think are better, and they should be able to beat them, and beat them pretty soundly. But it's going to be a much tougher chance. It's going to be very difficult this year, possibly going 6 or 7, but you will see probably the Braves in that situation. I mean, you may even see the Washington Nationals. It's going to be. It's really just depends on who comes out of that wild card there. So I don't know who that's going to be. Nationals will be tough, but we can beat them. I believe we can beat them too. I don't think they're ready for any of this stuff. They were not supposed to be where they are right now. But their pitching staff is fantastic, though. I think they can get to the pitching staff, though. B. Hannah 55, better than video game numbers. Yeah, right? It's kind of crazy. Austin Pacheco 27. Walker Buehler has started 4 times at Dodger Stadium since the All-Star break. 29 innings, 1 run, 42 Ks. I mean, those are silly numbers. Those are just numbers that should not that are crazy to me. So yeah, he needs to start at home, because he was bad in Miami, which was crazy. Or I guess they're Miami, whatever they are. He was bad in Miami, great at home. Isaiah Valentine, what would be your ideal postseason lineup? Coming from YouTube there. I mean, we're going so far ahead right now, but I like seeing, it depends on if you're facing a righty or lefty. So if you're facing a lefty, I like AJ Pollock leading off. And then eventually I'm going to want to see Seager move back up. It's going to be a little bit difficult, and I think they're going to move stuff around, but I like seeing Pollock, Seager, Turner. Oh, God, it's so hard. There's so many big bats in here. Maybe you can move Muncy into that 3 spot. So maybe Seager goes down. You go Pollock, Turner, Muncy, Bellinger, Seager, or Smith. So one of those 2 guys. I like Taylor going 7, and then who am I missing? I need a left fielder. So depending on who gets that, whether it's Verdugo or Beatty or whoever it is, being down, even all the way down there in the 8th spot, and then your pitcher. So it all changes, but that's kind of where we're looking at. Also, who says Gonsolin over Strips? Look, Stripling has been there before, but he's also not been great. So I love Tony Gonsolin, but he's also a young guy. You don't know what you're going to get out of him yet. Let's see what they do in the postseason going forward, or the end of the regular season. September's a big month for the pitchers and for the hitters. It all depends. Whoever is pitching the best is going to make it into that postseason roster. So if Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May are pitching great out of the pen, they're going to get in. If they're not pitching great out of the pen, they will not get in. And because Julio Urias is going to get that spot back, Stripling and Maeda are going to be fighting for those spots. And that's what's different about this, is you're going to be using starting pitchers as bullpen guys now. So Joe Kelly, maybe Casey Sadler, Kenley Jansen, those are your guys. Pedro Baez, those are your guys that are really the bullpen guys that are going to be in the bullpen. Other guys are going to be mostly starters that you can stretch out. If you need them to go 2 innings, they'll go 2 innings. If you need them to go 3 innings, sometimes they will. You'll see guys like Rich Hill, who is the 4th starter. Maybe on a day that's supposed to be a bullpen day, he pitches a couple innings or an inning, or maybe he's used in a situation that it happens to be a closing situation because they just trust him in that spot. So it totally changes everything because of the positionality that all these guys have, and it changes. It's great. I love seeing that from this team. It makes a huge difference. Kobe Sai says on YouTube, says playing the Braves in the NLCS at SunTrust Park is going to be super annoying with their chop on chant in between every pitch. Now, yes, I totally agree. But if I have to listen to John Smoltz doing a game with the Braves, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I cannot stand John Smoltz in the postseason. It's just the worst. I had never heard someone say the name Hater so many times against the Milwaukee Brewers last year. And imagine if it's against the Braves. He's going to be unlistenable. That's going to be when you're listening to it on mute and just wishing Joe Davis was there every single day. Alex Loret, 29. If we don't win the World Series, is the season considered a bust? Yes. You know what? I thought last year was a bust. I thought that last year, if they didn't win the World Series, it was a bust. It was a bust. Now you're in this year. Now you're in 2019, where they're the best team in the baseball. They get hits with runners in scoring position with 2 outs, 1 out. Doesn't matter. They get the big hits. They come from behind. They have 11 walk-off wins, the most in Major League Baseball. They can come from behind. They have a great pitching staff who has been just fantastic. And the bullpen is okay, but the bullpen you see right now is not really what it's going to be even still. It's going to be a lot of starters. So, yes, absolutely. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, it is a complete and utter disaster. If you go to the World Series 3 times in a row and lose 3 times in a row, it's a disaster. I mean, I don't know how else you can say it. It is a problem. Anybody that says anything different is lying to you. It's not okay, and I'll be very, very sad. John Isles, I don't know if anyone asked this yet. I've been away from my computer, but which NL and AL teams do you believe pose the biggest challenge to the Dodgers come October? We did ask that, so I'll do it real quick. The Braves in the National League, I think, is going to be the toughest team to beat, and I also think the Yankees or Astros, but with Correa hurt, I think it's going to be the Yankees that are the toughest, but I don't really trust their pitching staff. I'm trying to celebrate with everyone at a parade in downtown LA. Alex, you're at 29. Well, I'll be right here. I'll be right here while it's happening, and I think I'm going to get to go to some games this year. Ooh, it'll be fantastic. Esco 1310, rosters can be adjusted series to series. Why not try May during NLDS? We can afford it. Well, you say that, but the NLDS is a 5-game series. So if he blows a game, you don't have a lot to work with there. Let's say he blows game 1. You're all of a sudden at home down 0-1. That's a whole nother ball game. Changes everything. So whether or not you don't really have, when you're in the postseason, it's a total crapshoot, and whoever it happens to be that's pitching, it has to be the right guy. And you don't know what's going to happen. Look, the Dodgers last year had the better bullpen than the Red Sox. They were supposed to have a better bullpen, and they blew it. The bullpen was bad. They were actually supposed to have a better bullpen than the Astros, which was supposed to be pretty close, but they were supposed to be better than the Astros, and the Astros still won that series with some blown games in from the bullpen. Bullpens change from year to year, from series to series, from everything. It changes everything. And so when you see a team being good, their bullpen being good in the regular season and then terrible in the postseason, it happens. Or they're terrible in the postseason and they're great in the regular season and they're great in the postseason. Joe Kelly barely made the roster. He was not supposed to make the World Series or even the postseason roster. He made himself better. Craig Kimbrell, who a lot of people want, was terrible in the postseason. He was bad. He was just flat out bad, and he still got some wins but they used guys in different situations. So it's totally different. So the guys that you see, bullpen is a total crapshoot. And I know everybody wanted to see Felipe Vasquez, and I know everybody wanted to see a lot of different things, but I'm sorry. They change and they fall apart. Being in that postseason setting is different than being in a regular season setting. It means so much more, and guys just aren't as good all the time. I don't know. I trust the bullpen. I trust the starters that will be coming out of the bullpen this year, like the Red Sox did last year. Let's see. G. Via says, thoughts on Walker Buehler. I think Walker Buehler is a fantastic pitcher, and he's going to be even better in the postseason, especially if he's pitching at home. Edge 3Z, Lux is coming up in a few weeks, but how much does he play? I don't know how much he plays, especially when the AAA season is over and the playoffs are over. I don't know how much he's going to play. I would love to see him. I would love to see him play second base. I think he could be, if he can keep it up and be just as good as like a Will Smith has been and been really strong in the postseason, or being strong in September, and he makes the postseason roster as the second baseman, that could be a gigantic boon for the Dodgers, just like Will Smith is. Will Smith, look at him. He's got 12 home runs and like 87 at-bats. It's ridiculous. The guy's on fire. If you can have a guy like Lux going into the postseason that way, I think it'd be fantastic. Whether or not he actually plays, though, because he doesn't play a lot of second base right now, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Let's see. We on the same page. Let's see. Lel, we would be the Buffalo Bills of baseball. I don't like hearing that. It makes me sad. I'm feeling that energy from Bergman. Hey, good. I'm hoping that you're feeling that energy because there's a lot of it. Anthony, my boy, says Ryu, Kirsch, Bueller, Hill. Oh, we did that already. That's an old one. Those are old tweets too. We don't want those ones. Let's see what's going over here on Facebook. There's a couple of comments here. Says Monica Rose Langone says, love that Muncie shirt. Thank you. This Max Muncie shirt is brought to you by Bleed Los. Bleed Los made this and gave this to me, and I wear it all the time. I wear it at home. I got other ones. I got a Belly Bomb shirt. I got a Walker Effin Bueller shirt. I got this hat, Los Angeles versus the world, all from Bleed Los. Go to Bleed Los on Instagram. Go to Bleed Los on Facebook. Go to Bleed Los everywhere. They have great Dodger stuff, and they might actually help me out with Showtime Forum as well. So there might be a little bit more stuff there, but Bleed Los has some great stuff. All right, let's go back over here to let's check out. Yes, that's not much there. Let's go to Jermaine Armenta, 1, Rio 2, Bueller 3, Kershaw, and 4, Hill or Gonsolin. I think you're pretty much on par with everybody else there. Ignacio Telez on Facebook says, I agree with you. Gonsolin is doing better at the moment. Might have more potential, but Gonsolin is more established at the moment. And I think that's a fair thing to say. It is absolutely fair to say that Tony Gonsolin has been better and is better out of the bullpen as well. He's just a guy that he pitched when the last time I saw him, because I was gone for 10 days last week. Tony Gonsolin had 3 clean innings out of the bullpen. I think he gave up 1 run actually, but he was great out of the bullpen. He can pitch out of the bullpen. We've seen it, and he's actually been good as a starter too. I love it. Taylor Spencer 4414 on Instagram says, hope Bellinger doesn't fall apart in the postseason. Man, why even put out that bad juju? Don't do that. Bellinger has changed up a lot of things. Now, he's starting to slow down just a little bit. You can't deny that Bellinger has not been the same guy that he was. I mean, it was impossible. You can't keep up that pace that he was keeping up. However, he's got over 100 RBIs. He's got 42 home runs. His OPS is staying way over 1,000. He's been really good. And over the last 7 days, which does not count today, he's 7 of his last 22 for a 318 batting average, 423 on base, 818 slugging for a 1241 OPS, which I know numbers are so silly and they mean weird, but let's just put it in a much better perspective. 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 1,200 OPS. He's getting it done. He's batting over 400. He's got 44. He's got 4 walks to 4 Ks, so he's not striking out. He's still walking. He's doing everything that you could really want from him. So as long as he just keeps up with that pace, you're fine. And now, like, what the biggest thing is too, Corey Seager, who was injured to start off the year and then started looking like Corey Seager again. Then he got injured again. Then he got looking like Corey Seager again. Then he got injured again. And now he's again looking like Corey Seager. And if Corey Seager is Corey Seager in the postseason, watch out because that dude is a killer. And Justin Turner has been fantastic recently. Justin Turner in his last 18 at bats, batting just about 400. That's in the last 7 games. So let's go back to the last 30, which makes it a lot easier. Justin Turner is batting like 300. The guy has just been fantastic and hitting home runs. He's got over 20 home runs, 22 home runs. The guy is just locked in right now. I love what I'm seeing from Will Smith. I like what I'm seeing from Chris Taylor, who looked really good, who is my doppelganger, by the way, and which I'm okay with. But anyway, Taylor Spencer, 4414. Could Bellinger win Triple Crown? He can. It's going to be very, very difficult. He's only 2 back of, depending on what happened today. Going into today, he was only 2 RBIs back. He has the most home runs, but the batting average is going to be where it gets really difficult. He's right around 318, 320, and the leader is, I'm blanking on his name, but he's got like a 333. It's a Jeff McNeil, I believe it is. He's got over a 330 batting average, so things would have to really flip for him, but it's possible. I think the better chance is actually you're seeing a triple crown is from Christian Yelich, who can pass and everything, and he could also pass in stolen bases too, so he can get 4 categories, which would just be insane. It would be just bananas. Over here on, let's see what we got here on Instagram, the ESPN LA Instagram. El Carriza 1 says Cody Bomminger will finish 50, 100, 200. I mean, he's already got the 100, so he's going to have 200 hits. He's already got 100 RBI, so you're hoping you got more than those. So, Hoodie Beasley, can anyone confirm Jordan Clarkson was at last night's game? Saw him on the jumbo screen. He might have been, but he's also, I mean, he's an LA guy. If he is, cool, but I don't think that's... Jordan Clarkson's a Cleveland Cavalier, so that doesn't matter. El Grandes Ligas 1. Are this year's Dodgers better than 2017 Dodgers and a bigger threat to the AL teams in the postseason? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I went over it just a little bit earlier, but yes, they absolutely are, because they're just a different team. And I've been saying it over and over again, and I'm going to say it again, and this will be probably the last time tonight that I say it, but I guarantee you next Wednesday when I'm back here on the Blue Review, I'm going to have to say it again. This team gets hits when it matters, when it counts. They get hits with 2 outs. They get hits with 2 outs with runners in scoring position. They get hits with 2 outs running scoring position and 2 strikes on them. It doesn't matter. They hit when they need to get those hits, and they're getting them in timely situations where they're getting it in 11 walk-off home runs says that exact thing for you. Now, should they have gotten some of these walk-off home runs because they're getting in the bottom of the 10th, 11th, whatever it happens to be, because Kenley Jansen blow it? Yes, absolutely. This team does not quit from El Vic. You're right. And that's why it's so much different. They don't. A lot of this is kind of what was happening with them in 2017. They didn't quit. They came from behind a lot, but they were having to come from behind a lot. This team now is usually way ahead, and they're ahead by a large margin. And even if the game is tied towards the end, you still believe that they can come back and win. It's a different team overall, and this is just a much more fun team to watch. They are fundamentally sound in almost every situation, and they're very good defensively too. I know there's been some issues with some errors recently, but I think that's a lot to do with moving guys around and seeing who fits in what position, trying to work out that positionality. It just changes, and I think it's going to be better. CJ 3600, they were the worst last year with runners in scoring position. It was a fluke. How bad? Exactly. It was a fluke. They should just not get the hits, and now they are. They're second in the National League with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. They're first in baseball. First in baseball, thank you, Rick Krajewski. First in baseball with runners in scoring position, 2 outs, and 2 strikes. That's a big number. The 2 strikes, 2 outs is a huge thing to see, that because they don't quit and they change their swings. Cody Bellinger does this a ton. You see, he's got 42 home runs. He's got 100 RBIs, but with 2 strikes, he's shortening and he's just trying to get on base, and that's a huge deal. Let's see. Janice Day off. Will Cody win a Gold Glove this year? If he doesn't, it's an absolute shame. He can get a Gold Glove at first base, and he can get a Gold Glove at right field, but he's probably going to get a right field Gold Glove. I think he has 9 or 10 outfield assists now, which is either tied or leading Major League Baseball, so he's right in that spot. Yes, if he doesn't get a Gold Glove this year, it's an absolute travesty. Absolute. Let's see. EJ Ravallo says, which team scares you the most, Astros or Yankees? I would have said the Astros because their pitching staff. I think they have a pretty decent bullpen, but the bullpen is scarier from the Yankees. I don't really trust their starting pitching, so it's kind of backwards for those teams. But with Carlos Correa going down and losing, who was a big bat for them, depends on if Carlos Correa comes back. If he does, and I think Altuve gets kind of injured here and there, I think the Astros are a really good team, but I don't think they're that dominant team that they were the 2 years ago, that when they made it all the way to the World Series. I think the Yankees are the team to beat in the American League, but as we'll really see what they look like when it comes up this weekend, because you're going to see Kershaw on Sunday. I think you see Ryu on either Friday or Saturday. I think it's Friday, but so a lot of things are going to be changing, but you're really going to see what this team looks like. The Dodgers versus the Yankees this weekend. Players Weekend. It's going to be awesome, and I would wish I could get there, but I cannot, unfortunately. Someone got a ticket for me? You guys got a ticket for me? Help me out. Somebody help me out with the ticket. Red Sox will trade Mookie, CJ 3600. Unless he says he wants to stay, but if you can't pay him and he doesn't want to stay, you should trade him. That would be the right thing to do. Ryan D. Montez, how many games do you think we'll take against the Yankees, Greg? I say 2 of 3. I'm going with 2 of 3 also. If you're going to see Ryu, I don't know who pitches tomorrow. I'm assuming it's not Ryu. But if you get Ryu and Kershaw, I think that the Dodgers take 2 of 3 of that series. And I think they're going to show. Aaron Judge doesn't look like Aaron Judge anymore. I think that pitching staff is not that strong. And I think that they can really figure a lot of that out. All right, I got 2 minutes left. I am in my 2-minute warning. God, it's been so long since I've said it. I love saying it again. I feel so like just at home talking to you guys again. It makes me feel so happy. And thank you for being here on the Blue Review. Thank you for being on ESPN Los Angeles Periscope. Thank you for being on my Instagram at Bergman Greg, at Bergman Greg on Twitter, at Bergman Greg on Instagram, and finding me in all these different places: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all that stuff. It's everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. But we're going to try and get through as many questions as we can in this next minute and 20 seconds. EJ Ravelis, which we already did that one. Alex Yoret, 29. Could Dave Roberts get exposed again? I don't think how much of it is Dave Roberts. I think the front office has a lot to do with a lot of this, but they're going to give Dave Roberts a little more rope, I think, because of what he's done. I mean, exposed into the situation of they have somebody for every situation. If he screws that up, that's on him. But for the most part, I don't think that I really hope he's learned over these last 2 years. If he hasn't, then yeah, there's something going on there. Get home to that beautiful daughter, Greg. Thank you, El Carrizo one. I will try to do that. Go get that tattoo, says Hey Steve. Yeah, I need a new tattoo. I want to get it right here and just finish all this stuff up. I want to finish the whole thing up right there. John Isles on YouTube. Which AL team may be the biggest surprise to see in the World Series? The Minnesota Twins. I don't think they're good enough, but they're right there. They very well could get there. They have a lot of power. Their pitching staff isn't bad. I think they have a lot that they could really show. So the Minnesota Twins would be that team. Last one from Instagram from Joseph HD. Blue Review should shout out tomorrow during the show. Thank you very much. Dodgers 35, 22, 10. Who do you think the Dodgers all white players weekend jerseys for the Dodgers? I don't know. I don't like it. I'd like to see this on the same team. Anyway, I got 8 seconds. Thank you guys very much for being on the Blue Review. I'll be back next Wednesday. I promise. And that'll do it for me. Thank you. See ya.